Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Gam Ganapate Namaha. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha. Gurudeva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sarva Mangala Mangalle Shive Sarvartha Sadike. Sharanyatrambake Devi Narayani Namostute. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Mahalakshmi Rupena Samstita. Namastasya, 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 Namo Namaha. Om Shri Radha Krishnaya Namo Namaha. Shri Radha Krishnaya Namo Namaha. Shri Radha Krishnaya Namo Namaha. Om Namah Shivaya. Shri Hanuman Ji Maharaj Ki Jai. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 2nd of February 2026. I'm going to offer prostrations, Ananta Koti Namaskar, Danvat Pranam and Pushparpanam at the feet of all the great sages and to Bhagwan, residing in the heart of every single being at all times. We're continuing from yesterday to go further into the clear grasp of Shantarati. Shantarati, as we mentioned yesterday, is one of the 5 ratis. These are connections with Bhagwan. These are devotional connections with Bhagwan, with God. That are part of the 5 primary Sthayi Bhav. I know there's a lot of terminology, so just see if we can make sure that the terminology is clear. Sthayi Bhav is the permanent sentiment that the emotion has become solidly fixed in Bhagavan. That's a big thing, Sthayi Bhav. That solidification, that grounding. You know, it's like a marriage that has lasted many, many years. There's so much depth in the relationship, in the bond. Itna prem hai, itna understanding hai, itni seva hai. You know, like between husband and wife, let's say, between a couple. That is just a material glimpse. Ye to Bhagwan ke saath, with the Supreme Paramatma, there is a bond. It's a very big thing, right? Isme kitni shraddha, nishta, prem, ashray, all such qualities. Bhakti bhav, upasna, shuddha upasna, all this is inside this. And as that relationship is solidified practically, then one of these 5 ratis, they're called, they are the activity of the mind, activity of the bhakta from inside in a predominant activity, state of mind that is connected with God. That is called rati. It's an interesting word, Shanta Rati. Rati means, you know, as far as my understanding goes, there's probably some other meanings of it also. But it means to be engaged. Bhakti is a state of engagement. Bhakti is not just, you know, it's like a zero feeling. Just shant ho gaya, kuch nahi karda. It's not like that. Not that kind of shanti. Right? So shanti is there in bhajans, in manan, in the Swarup of Paramatma, in mantra jap, in 9 forms of devotion, doing prostrations, Bhagwan ke saath, unko bahut hriday se manna, pradikshina karni. It's a connection, right? It's a connection. To connect with the words of the scriptures, to connect with the ideas that are present there, to connect in any which way, But it is a connection. So Shantarati is the first one, and there's 5 of them as illustrated by Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami has talked about these 5 as the 5 primary relationships in bhakti. Mukhya bhakti ras. The rasa that will come, the rasa is the intense loving enjoyment. That is called ras. It's a very, very beautiful word. Ras kya hai? What is ras? It's like that. In Gujarati we say Shirdi no ras. Shirdi is that sugarcane. We take the sugarcane juice out. That is called ras. But the ras is actually, we can say that is the essence of the sugarcane, But then when we drink it, what do we experience? We experience the sweetness. That is what is meant by ras here. It's not just the like the analogy. You may have the glass of sugarcane. Bhagwan ki murti hai. Bhagwan Krishna ki murti hai. Radhika ji ki murti hai. Everything is available. Scriptures, mandirs, everything is available. Ras mil gaya hai. Abhi peene ki zarur hai. I may hold a tall glass, cold, very beautiful, wonderful, fresh ras of sugarcane. With some masala added. Some people like to add some masala and stuff like that. Whatever, right? It's all ready to go. What's left? It's in my hand. There's a straw or whatever. The only thing left is to drink. Nothing else. And if I don't drink it, it's meaningless. If I don't drink it, iska kya arth hai? Kuch bhi arth nahi raha. This is what happens with the people of the world. The bhakti ras is available to everybody. It's available for free. It's openly available. Kisko pina hai? People are taking it and throwing it away. Think about that. Kitna agyan hai. So anyway, that's a different matter. But jisko gyan hai iska, what it is, the sweetness of it, iska jo anubhav, when you put sugarcane juice in the mouth, there is a special anubhav. Is it not so? Jivan kya hai? Jivan ek anubhav hi hai. Ananta anubhav hai. Every kind of anubhav has its own flavor, its own touch. The anubhav of bhakti has many different flavors. Many different. Thousands. We don't even know. But great saints like Rupa Goswami, he classified it in 5 major ones. So for us, to help us to recognize where we are, where we're headed, it is a matter of drinking the ras. Abhi isme 2 prakar ke ras bhi hai. Let me just make some comments on that, and then I'll go back into the Shantarati in just a moment here. 2 kinds of ras. Likh dena. Today's 2 words to write them down. Vishaya ras, Vishaya dash ras, or bhakti ras, Bhakti dash ras. Vishaya mein bhi ras hai, bhakti mein bhi ras hai. Ras means enjoyment, anubhav, joy. Vishaya ras. How many vishayas are there? Panch vishaya. Shabda, sparsh, rup, ras, gandh. Isn't it so? So, what is the topmost rasa in the vishayas? Does anybody know? Even Premanand Maharaj recently talked about that. In one of his talks, I heard it. I heard it recently. I don't know when he spoke about that actually. And that is absolutely correct. Ye jo kaam vasna jo hai, sex, what is called sexuality, in the human domain, that is the topmost ras. Isme sab vishay ras aa jate hain. It's very interesting. इसीलिए भगवान कृष्ण कहते हैं मैं देवों में कामदेव हूँ. Again, it's a very extensive and very intricate subject to understand. But in terms of anubhav, we are actually born because of that. How did we come into being? How do our children come into being, right? Kaam ras mein se hi aata hai na. So kaam ras, which is the Kamdev, and rati. See, there's the word rati right there. This is the word rati is here too. Rati is the wife of Kamdev. They are together. Kamdev और रति, उनका ही सब खेल है संसार में. वो भगवान की शक्ति है, भगवान का स्वरूप है वो दोनों. And they keep the sansar going. So the ras that is there, the enjoyment that is there in the sexual experience, it is called an orgasm, O-R-G-A-S-M. That is a word in the English language. In the a Sanskrit language, it is called Kam Sukh. Sukh, the word sukha, sukham is used. But sukham is of so many different types, right? You can have a cup of tea and isme se sukh milta hai, have a conversation with someone, isme se sukh milta hai, go on a trip. Sukh is in the domain of Prakriti, there's just endless varieties of that. But that is called sukh. But what is the topmost sukh? In one sense, in terms of the brain, mind, this is one way to think about it. Somebody might say, well, no, something else might be greater. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we're not denying that. It's a Kam then is no longer just a sexual process. It can be broadened to a lot of other things also. So then everything is within that. But in a general sense, this is like it is an intensity of experience. Itna to satya hai ke nahi? It is an intense experience. An orgasm is an intense experience. Now think about this point, because we have to understand the sexual stuff to understand this entire Ras Leela. Because it is a transmutation of the sexual response cycle into bhakti. That is its neuropsychological actual link. I don't think anybody's ever talked about it. I've never heard anybody talk about it. But we're going to talk about it here because that's what it really is. Right? So there's something called the sexual response cycle. I'll show you the diagrams later on, and then how that connects with the Ras Leela later on. When Bhagwan Krishna actually enters into the Ras Leela, how he remains a brahmachari. Wo anadi brahmachari hai. Right? So there's a Vachanamrita also, Garada Pratham 73 on this point. It's a very intricate and very profound subject. But Bhagwan ka Aishwarya kaisa hai, that we will get to much later on sometime, maybe next year or 2 years from now. Yeah, I don't know when. I have no idea. But let's be clear that the Vishaya Ras, today I want to go step by step. Vishaya ka Ras. The word is Ras, R-A-S. That means the sukha that comes from the objects. Isn't it so? There's 5 of them. For example, if I put perfume on my, there's a white musk. I sometimes put that on when I go outside or whatever, but for get together. Just as it's like a cologne or something. I don't know what it is exactly, but it's just a body spray. You put that on, and what is the experience? It smells nice. Why does that experience happen? That's what the Ras Leela will answer. Why विषय का जो अनुभव है वो कहाँ से आता है और भक्ति का जो अनुभव है वो क्या है? We have a tasty gulab jam, tasty jalebi, tasty whatever, something that we enjoy. It's a qualitative experience. A gulab jam is a gulab jam. There's no the jalebi is not going to taste like the gulab jam. There's every food item has its own distinctive taste. That is the domain, that is the Daivi aspect of Prakriti. Daivi esha gunamayi mama maya. So the rasas of the 5 senses are there. And what do we see? The entire sansar, Srimad Bhagavatam ka shlok hai. Kanakakantan sutrena veshtitam sakalam chagat tasute suviraktasya dvibhuja parameshwaraha. Puri Srishti has been bound by 2 things. Kanakakantan sutrena veshtitam. Veshtitam meaning it is immersed in the sexual response cycle. That's the more technical way to put it. Sexual desire, people say kam vasna. I would rather, that's fine, but to be more accurate, the sexual response cycle. Look it up. Do a Google search on it. You'll find all kinds of research on it by Masters and Johnson. They're the ones who coined this term because they did the research in 1960s. और ये जो साइकिल कहाँ है? माइंड में है. और इसमें जो सुख मिलता है वो कैसा सुख है? Any kind of Vishaya Sukh, it is a wave. We've mentioned this before. It cannot be continuous. This is the first difference between Vishaya Sukh and Bhakti, or Vishaya Ras and Bhakti Ras. This is a fundamental difference. Until that fundamental difference is clear in our buddhi, iska vivek hona chahiye. वो विषय सुख, one will drown inside that विषय सुख for billions of lifetimes. इसमें से कोई निकल नहीं सकता, because you have not tasted the bhakti ras. Bhakti ras is such that once a taste of that comes, anubhav aata hai iska, it is a glimpse of ananda. Then automatically the panch vishayas, the vishaya ras becomes neutral. Samatva aa jata hai isme. See this transition. The entire spirituality, and particularly the RAS LEELA, is about a transition from Vishaya Ras into Bhakti Ras. It is a complete transition. It is not the denial of the Panch Vishayas. It is to recognize that they are only fragments, flickers, flickering light bulb, jaisa it's not actually the ananda. It is just a reflection. It is a little bit of sensation. That's all. And our entire mental framework is lost in that Vishaya Sukh. So isme sukh bhi hai, isme dukh bhi hai. And there are, in even the highest stimulative experience, uttama vishaya, even if that is obtained, it gets saturated, tolerance effect, want something else, something more. It just goes on. It just goes on. Trishna, we talked about the two words yesterday, Trishna. Trishna का अंत नहीं है. किसके मन में अंत आया है किसका? किसी का अंत आया है? Always wanting something more, something repeated again and again and again. But when bhakti opens by krupa, actually opens, bhakti ka ras aata hai. And when that bhakti ras opens, means that the entire vasana structure has been transmuted into divine emotion. Rajogun, Tamogun, and the mundane Sattvagun doesn't hold any influence over the bhakta. I'm speaking slowly, deliberately, so that this can sink into all of us, especially me. These are every single idea, every sentence here. If it is held inside our hearts, Bhagwan Sakshat aa jayegi. God ka realization ho sakta hai. If we really are clear. The liberation from the influence of the three modes of material nature, Sattva, Rajas, Tama, mundane Sattva Gun, is binding. It is attached to the happiness of knowledge. I know this much, I know this much, I know this much, this, whatever. And the Rajas and Tamas, usme jo sukh hai, that sukh is completely transmuted out. The sexual response cycle, the Kam Vasna jisko hum kehte hai, which is the sexual response cycle in male and female, it functions a little differently in both. There are some differences, some important differences also. The entire cycle is transmuted. And the transmutation of the sexual response cycle is RAS LEELA. There's nothing else. That is RAS LEELA. Bhakti में इतना आनंद मिलता है that this entire, कोटि कामदेव, this is written in bhajanों में लिखा है, millions of Kamdevs, Cupids. Kamdev is called Cupid in Western mythology. Millions of them are completely, their influence is nowhere compared to the glimpse of Sri Krishna. The glimpse of God, the glimpse of that Param Tattva. उनका जो एक दर्शन ऐसा है, कोटि कामदेव. I don't remember the exact bhajan language right now, but it's there. वो लज्जा पामते, ऐसा कुछ है. They become, just like a woman who get lajja, meaning that very bashful like this. काम का कुछ influence नहीं, वो सब सेवा में आ जाते. भगवान का स्वरूप ऐसा है. Kamdev is called Ratipati also. He's got a lot of different names. उनके भी सब, वो कृष्णा का ही सब स्वरूप है. Kamdev is a form of Sri Krishna only. उनके by that process inside, the entire Srishti runs in all species. Janam Maran ka chakkar, life after life, new bodies are created from this sexual response cycle. And when this sexual response cycle completely transmutes into bhakti, that is called RAS LEELA. That is RAS LEELA. And I show you the verses. And most people in Bhagavatam don't want to talk about this. It's truly sad that they don't want to talk about it, because they don't either they don't understand it, or they don't want to deliberately talk about the sexual aspect. Because unless you talk about that, there's no chance of understanding RAS LEELA. Understanding kabhi bhi nahi hoga isme. Because the actual bhakti is the total transmutation of the Shakti that is used in the sexual response cycle. And the entire sansar is doomed inside this cycle, totally trapped. Vichar kijiye. So many scriptures. Vachanamrut, Garada Pratham 34, Bhagwane Karl Chadaveli. Again, all those references are there. Now, let's be clear that to even enter into that domain of Madhurya, before we get to Madhurya, and Madhurya comes later on, Madhurya Rati. Rati, again the word Rati is used by Rupa Goswami. Why is using that word Rati? Who is Rati? Rati is the wife of Kamdev, meaning it is this Kam Vasna that is transmuted into intense devotion, where Kamdev and Rati, they're fused inside, and they are connecting with intense love towards Bhagwan. Isko kehte hai Rati, Shanta Rati. This is the one we're looking at. You see, the word Rati is used. It all connects to the sexual response cycle. It's completely about that. Okay, we'll talk about it more later on once we get to Madhurya. But now, this is very interesting. In the state of Nivrutti, which we mentioned yesterday, Nivrutti is what? First of all, it is a vector. The vector of Trishna. That vector of Trishna is changed. So Trishna is the psychological pressure to acquire what one lacks. I want this, and I want this, and I want this. It's a psychological pressure. I want this thing, and I want this thing. Isko kehte hai Trishna. This Trishna is there in this Vishaya Sukh. Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Matsar, all those things. The Panch Vishaya ka Sukh hai, isme Trishna, endless Trishna hai. That Trishna, what happens to that Trishna? Well, first of all, that Trishna is the forward moving energy of I want. Forward moving Shakti, energy. I want this, and I want this, and I'm going to go for this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. This is called forward moving energy. That I want this, and I want this. Okay, understand? This is called the vector of Trishna. If you're taking notes, you can write this down. Vector, you know what is meant by a vector? Vector means a direction towards a particular destination. That's called vector. So Trishna has vector. The sexual response cycle has a vector, which is orgasm. And that orgasm is an intense energy phenomena. वो ट्रमेंडस शक्ति है, ब्रेन माइंड की शक्ति, और वो भगवान की शक्ति है for creative purposes. And because of what's happening in the world today with all the hypersexuality in so many places, वो भगवान की जो दिव्य शक्ति है, it is being destroyed and damaged. And that's why so many people are ill and sick and troubled, and psychological problems, relationship problems, health problems, obesity problems. इसका सब root cause, one of the major causes is this, in Sachin's opinion, based on years of study. किसी को satisfaction मिला है इसमें? विचार कीजिए. Married people, they are married, they're tired of each other because they don't have prem nahi hai, they get tired of the same thing again. The man starts hunting somewhere else, looking for other people, other things. It just goes on. Kitne extramarital affairs, how many different divorces. I've done a lot of research on this over the years, and in fact the point is that it's a type of poison, that generates. Poison in what sense? That the damage to this antarik shakti, it causes a lot of damage all the way around, physically, mentally, psychologically, financially, in every possible way. इसीलिए ब्रह्मचर्य की बात. ब्रह्मचर्य क्या है? रास लीला is ब्रह्मचर्य. We don't realize all this thing, किसी को मालूम ही नहीं. I don't think anybody knows about this real connection. What is the actual connection? The damage that is being done. But anyway, to really understand or to move into that state of shantarati, antakaran mein puri shanti honi chahiye. Antakaran becomes still. So this vector of trishna is no longer pushing the individual, pushing the energy, because energetically this is a projection of the self into the future, creating a state of perpetual deficit. Write this down. State of perpetual deficit. This is missing. Something is always missing. कितना भी मिलता है, किसी को तृप्ति नहीं होती. Satisfaction ही नहीं है. It is called the state of perpetual deficit. This is called trishna. Dekho, observe. Don't find fault with anybody. We can see very clearly. देख सकते हैं. पूरा संसार इसमें is continuously in this. This is called sansar. And because of this vector of trishna, there is the vector of deprivation, shok, unhappiness, sadness, damage inside. Running after the vishayas and trying to just run after them, what will that cause? It will cause dukh. Always. So that is called shoka. Shoka is the psychological reaction to losing what one possesses. I had this, now it's gone. What is it that we're possessing that is lost? Shakti. That is the wealth. Yes, all the other wealth is connected to that. Money is not the issue. Money, you need to have money. We have to have money, food, clothing, everything we can have, material things. But have that without trishna and without deprivation. And keep progressing on the platform of stability, of happiness, satisfaction. So the vector of shoka, it is the backward moving energy of I lost, this is lost, this is lost, this is missing, this is missing. When we become angry, we talked about kam vasana a moment back. What about anger? Krodh. Kitni shakti isme lost hoti hai, right? Worry, tension, fear, anger, krodh, all this thing. It is the losing from inside. Right? So the state of equilibrium is necessary. Material existence is perpetually oscillating between these two poles, hunting for pleasure and mourning its loss. Constantly seeking sukham, hunting for pleasure and mourning its loss. Once you get it, It's a momentary thing, and then it goes away. So I want more of this. I want more of this. I want more again. There's the trouble. So nivritti represents the stabilization of consciousness at the 0 point, meaning stable. Hunting for pleasure. Pleasure is there, but not hunting for it. Running after it. And then getting so frustrated and upset and angry that things are lost. That happens because we ourselves are causing the loss. हमारा जो आंतरिक वैभव है इसको नाश नहीं करना. That is, but that gets used up because of the experience that a person is looking for from the objects of the world. If I have this kind of house, if I have this kind of car, if I have these clothes, if I have the 10 pairs of shoes, so this particular kind of a bag, or this kind of a purse, or that, or this kind of a watch, or then I'm happy. I want something more. And this is how the economy goes. Whole economy goes like that. And of course, that is natural to have more enhanced experiences. But there's also, what is the problem in that there is getting trapped in that. So nivritti is the stability. Nivritti represents the stabilization of consciousness. The devotee, the bhakta, when a bhakta is there, bhakta means one who is devoted, has bhakti. The same Shakti has one vector, that is Bhagavan. You are the goal. And because you are the goal, there's realization of the movements of this pleasure, pain, these responses and all that. What is the big deal in that thing? It's all kind of left where it needs to be left. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse 54. Brahma bhuta prasannatma na shochati na kankshati. Na shochati na kankshati. Neither lamenting nor desire. Nor wanting this and wanting this. And lamentation, wanting. This is missing. None of that happens anymore. It's taken care of. Why? Because the bhakta is tasting bhakti ka ras. Bhakti ke ras mein डूब जाते हैं वो. साधुता, संत के गुण आ जाते हैं. प्रेम, भगवान के साथ इतना प्रेम हो जाता है. The 9 forms of devotion are opening again and again and again. One is revolving in them. Human being is normally revolving in the panch vishayas, in the worldly विषय रस में. इसमें ही रिवॉल्व करते हैं, शक्ति का नाश करते हैं, डूब जाते हैं और जन्म मरण चलता है. That is that path. Most of the people in the world. That is their only destination, to be reborn again and again and again. Cats, dogs, insects, whatever. Spiders. Maybe get a human life if they're lucky. Otherwise, finish. I say, human body was given this time. There's no guarantee it'll be given next time. Why should God give anybody human body? When the hamari vritti is less than animal level, he said, go to less than animal level. You don't belong in the human level anymore. This is situation in Kali Yuga. Good portion of the Kali Yuga population, they don't even wind up as human beings again. They wind up as something else. So anyway, leaving that aside, so that is the damaging destination. To go into Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Matsar, keep going further in that. What will that lead to? It leads to internal damage of Shakti because of Rajogun. Rajoguna samudbhavaha mahashano mahapapma vidyena iha vairinam. Bhagwan Krishna ka shlok hai in the Gita. ये रजोगुण कैसा है? रजोगुण has its place, rajas, passions. We keep going into that thing, it will suck up, damage and obliterate the entire Shakti from the brain, body, mind, everything. Look at the people, so many sitting in jails. So many so-called powerful people constantly running. Kitne lawsuit, kitne problems. What is all this? Rajogun ka problem hai. They're just trapped inside Rajogun, thinking that is Ananda. Rajogun is not Ananda. Rajogun has its own qualitative, limited experience. Of course, it does. If you put one of those those peppers in the mouth, sweet pepper or hot pepper or with some dish, very tasty, very sharp taste. It has a certain experience. वो रजोगुण का experience है. Yes, definitely. That is a Rajasic experience. But that is not Ananda. Somebody cannot say, I'd like to eat these green chilies or habanero peppers. Some people can tolerate eat habanero peppers and all that, Enjoy it with enchiladas and Mexican dish and this habanero sauce and all that kind of stuff is going there. How long you can enjoy that? How many can you eat? Maybe one burrito, two burritos, three burritos? How much? Maybe one bowl of sauce, maybe, and then what? Can you eat 2 bowls, 3 bowls, 10 bowls, 15? Is it going to open? Just keep eating more. And that's going to open the door into Ananda? No. Ananda is continuous. और विषय का जो सुख है, it is always limited. It is गुणातीतानंद स्वामी कहते हैं उनके टीचिंग्स में, स्वामिनी बातों. स्वामी क्या कहते हैं इसमें? He says very clear. विषयनु सुख क्षणिक छे, नाशवंत छे, दुखरूप छे. 3 points. Shanik means it's momentary. It's certain time bound. It is nashwant, meaning it ends. Or isme, if you take it beyond its in certain range that is useful for us, healthy for us, it will cause dukh. Shanik, nashwant, dukhrup. Vishay ras aisa hai. Pura. And until we are clear about this distinction, this viveka, there's no chance of adhyatmic realization, God realization, Atma ka gyan or Ras Leela or Bhagwan ki krupa or kuch bhi nahi hoga. This has to be absolutely clean cut. Vishay ka sukh aisa hai और भगवत सुख अभी मिला नहीं है, or maybe you get glimpses of that, वो अखंड है. That is अनुभव. That is a matter of sadhana and bhakti and krupa and just going into that and going into it carefully, slowly, and you get glimpses of it. Eventually, it becomes stable. That is called sthayi bhav. That it becomes solidified. It's called sthiti. It's what we've been talking about. Mukta sthiti. स्थिति बन जाती है कि कुछ भी हो जीवन में, आनंदम never diminishes. कुछ भी हो जीवन में, anything might happen. No falling back from that profound interconnection with Paramatma. भगवान के स्वरूप, in Gujarati, in Satsang we say rasbas. भगवान ना मूर्ति साथे रसबस થઈ જવું. Beautiful, it's a beautiful expression. Again, the word ras is there. See that? Same truth is only one. That same rasa that is going into the Vishayas, the Shakti that is going into the Vishayas, that same Shakti goes into Navda Bhakti. 9 प्रकार की भक्ति, शास्त्रों का पठन, भगवान के साथ connection. Or we're living in the world. It doesn't mean we're rejecting the world. But the world and the outside objects are not pulling and tearing apart our manovritti. मानसिक वृत्ति, अंतःकरण की वृत्ति का नाश नहीं हो जाता इसमें. Because it is attraction, repulsion, attraction, repulsion. So the Shanta Rati is where Trishna, the vector of Trishna, the material hankering, ends. It ends completely. It ends completely. Now somebody will say, then what is the point of life? How can I do anything? In fact, on the contrary, when Trishna ends completely, one is fully active. One is fully active in a state of nivrutti. It is nivrutti meaning is not active in rajogun, tamogun, tamsik, mansik vritti, that not that. It's not driven by the impulses of rajas and tamas. Tamas is just zero experience, like sleep. Eat, drink and sleep. That's called tamas. It's really amazing. the actual upliftment into nirguna. Nirguna. Nir means without the influence of the three gunas of Maya. And that state of nirgun is going to open with greater absorption in the swarup of Bhagwan. Bhagwan के स्वरूप में absorb, connect हो जाना. Then the influence of the three gunas of Maya do not touch the individual. The devotee is no longer driven by the impulse to act in a rajas manner, or the impulse to just sleep, to damage the energies and to go into tamas. Their existence is self-derived. They function in the world, but are not hydraulically driven by the world stimuli, like hydraulically driven. The external stimuli. Pulling, and then finished. This sthiti, ऐसी जो स्थिति है, न शोचति न कांक्षति समः सर्वेषु भूतेषु मद भक्तिम लभते परम. This sthiti is what opens up what is called Vishuddha Sattva. We talked about that briefly yesterday. So mundane Sattva is within the realm of Maya. इसका अहंकार आ जाता है, मेरे पास इतना ज्ञान है, ये है, वो है, this kind of thing. But there's Vishuddha Sattva, is a spiritual energy of Bhagwan. वो स्वरूप शक्ति है. So that Vishuddha Sattva is such where we're just like on the border of going into the abode of God. Bhagwan ke jo divya dham hai. That is the border point. That is called Vishuddha Sattva. Vishuddha Sattva, you know what that is like? Our 24 hours are absolutely clean, pure, clear, filled with devotion, filled with saintliness, filled with seva. किसी के साथ राग, द्वेष, अहम, ममत्व कुछ भी नहीं रहता. विषयों के साथ the playing around with the पंच विषय, समलोष्टाश्म कांचन, सब समत्व आ जाता है. They don't hold any kind of sway over the individual at all. As long as even the bhaktas are there, they want to enjoy this, they want to enjoy that, The Bhagwan कहते हैं आपको enjoy कीजिए, you'll find out what that is. You have to, at some point one has to grow up and be mature enough to realize that these things are limited. The पंच विषय का सुख लिमिट में है, कि बहुत limited बात है वो. If somebody has a $500,000 home and says, now I have a $2 million home, okay. So it's okay, you get some different experience. Now what? I mean, what's next? $10 million home? Where is the satisfaction inside? The ananda that one is seeking is not by the expansion of the Vishayas. Yes, the expansion of the Vishayas gives you a higher quality experience for some time, and then that gets saturated. It becomes old. Everything becomes old. That is the nature of Prakriti. As enticing and attractive things are in the domain of Prakriti, they become old very quickly. And once they're enjoyed, you don't want them anymore. The same thing that you wanted is in front of you. Now you enjoyed it. Now you don't want it anymore. Like a wonderful, tasty dish at a restaurant. You're so hungry and you want it. You enjoyed it. You said you're full. The waiter says, I'm going to give you 3 more for free. But you have to eat it here. Not to take home. I said, no, I cannot eat it. I don't want to see that even now. So what does that mean? That means that the object didn't have the ananda. It was inside of you. That the sukha, dukha is everything inside of you. And the ananda that one is seeking is in a different domain outside the sukh dukh cycle. Yeah, the object is there. Hunger is there. The body has to be maintained. Up to Bhagwan ka naam lena. Bahut ho gaya. But there's a limit. Just because I like a dish at a restaurant, I cannot eat 10 of them. And that's not going to open the door into ananda, right? So all of this understanding comes, and one recognizes the stimulative experiences of the Panch Vishayas. It could be music, sound, everything is limited. You can be a lover of classical music. How long can you listen to it? 24 hours? Maybe somebody might be able to, but 48 hours? At some point, he said, turn this thing off. I don't want to listen to any more of this. It has to be limited, and that's the hardest part to realize. Unless we keep the Panch Vishayas in a very limited way, not suppressed, but in a healthy, restricted manner, limited manner, we will never open the door into Param Bhakti. The Vishayas will be continuously damaging and shattering the mind. वो shatter कर देते हैं. So many verses of the Gita are there. Karma indriyani samyamya ya aste manasasmaran indriyarthan vimudhatma mithyachara sa uchyate. So there's so many verses. Mishayavani vartante niraharasya dehina. We talked about some of these before. Boy, I've gone way. I lost track of time completely. Sorry, 9:17. कोई बात नहीं. ये सब ऐसी अद्भुत बात है. These are some amazing concepts and ideas. Even to understand them is a very big thing. Nivrutti. What is nivrutti? See, what is meant by nivrutti? What is shuddha sattva? What is this vishuddha sattva? The vector of Trishna, the vector of Shoka, the state of equilibrium. These are all points. What is rati? What is meant by rati? Kamdev or rati ka kya force hai? That we'll talk about later on. Or this is all just part of the Shanta Rasa. Shanta Rati, as per Rupa Goswami, where he has put 5 primary relationships. The Mukhya Bhakti Ras. This is the first one only we're talking about. This is our 3rd day now talking about this. We'll talk more about it because it's good to cover even one idea thoroughly than just to keep jumping around, right? So we'll stop here for now. But we do have to cover Dasya Rati, Sakhya Rati, Vatsalya Rati, and Madhurya Rati. Madhurya Rati has the other 4. Inside, how it has that, we will get into all that. It's some months from now. I don't know when. I have no idea. We'll see whatever is the divine will. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaricha Sarvada. Om Gam Ganapate Namaha. Om Shri Sadguru Bhyo Namaha. Shri Paramaguru Bhyo Namaha. Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundai Viche Swaha. Shri Radha Krishnaya Namo Namaha. Rim Swaha.